I'm charging one earbud and hoping the other one holds out long enough for the.
Oh, man.
And all of this because I cannot figure out what the fuck hearing protection ducks my audio. Like sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. But like when it does, I can just see part of Nick's soul die.
Episode 463 of the TV Dudes, recorded November 29th, 2023. Monarch Legacy of Monsters. This week, we're talking about Monarch Legacy of Monsters on Apple Plus and Fargo Season 5 on Hulu. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Y'all, I think this week was a surprise for me. I did not expect to like Monarch as much as I did.
I was really apprehensive about whether this would be the slowest giant monster movie ever.
Yeah, that was my fear. The thing that always bugs me about all four of the movies is the human stuff is the least interesting stuff, and they spend the most time on it. But Monarch was this part I was most interested in.
Are you not counting Kong Skull Island in those movies?
Okay, Kong Skull Island is pretty great.
Right?
Randy, I was crazy excited. It was actually Nick that like a few days before we watched Monarch that was like, so Les, I'm just stop a moment. There's almost no reason to think that this is going to be really fucking awesome in the first episode.
I was worried it was going to be too slow or something. Yeah.
Because, I mean, all those movies are really kind of wildly different from each other in tone.
Yeah.
And for my money, Kong Skull Island was the one that got it right. And the animated Skull Island show kept up with that tone. But
yeah,
we've all loved a lot of properties in our lifetimes. There's very few times when the show banks the direction that like, ooh, that's just for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like Monarch got what I liked about these movies.
Same here, and I was not expecting it. I figured it was going to be at best okay, and instead, like this is a kind of a banger to close the year out on, so that's not bad.
Yeah. This may be dessert worthy. I'm really digging it. Also, in the I think latest episode we watched, there's a weird consistency to the pseudoscience that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
All of the monsters eat energy, radiation, something, whatever.
Yeah.
That Nick and I were watching the one in the ice field or whatever that attacks them. When it freezes the guy, it doesn't freeze him. The direction of flow is towards the monster.
Yeah.
It eats heat.
It's really cool.
And like we rewound it back and I was like, they told the effects guys to make sure that the direction of this works. Like you're removing heat from, not blowing air towards.
Right. He doesn't have freeze breath. He does not have freeze breath. That's not what's happening.
He's got tendrils that suck up thermal energy. Yeah. There's little weird nerdy shit where I was like, oh, this is the monster TV show I would have wanted as a kid. Damn it.
Well, I guess if dessert will be a possibility next week. You know, we are working on that new technology.
That's true. That's true.
I think people will be very excited.
If we get that up and running, we will put it on hold and
it'll
and
be
watch it later.
a podcast first if we manage it. I think. Yeah. We just gotta get a few more bits of code imported into the computer and make sure that works.
I got that top secret chip.
Yeah, it's a little dicey. Yeah. Plus the capacitor. If we can get that thing up and running, I think. All right. Let's jump over and do our TV diaries for the week.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
As always, I'll start because I think I've got less stuff. I'll run through mine pretty quick. I did after your glowing review of Scott Pilgrim, and basically, especially after mentioning the video store fight, which is in episode 3, I went back and watched the rest of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, and it's good. I actually really enjoyed it. It is my least favorite version of Scott Pilgrim. Like it goes movie, then graphic novels, then the anime. I did skip the intro every time, but it's a good, interesting entry, and I'm like, you know what? I understand why you guys made this now.
For me, I think it makes the movie better. I think I like it as a power up to the movie.
I finished it as well, and I gotta say now it's my favorite version of this story. Actually, I was also on the fence about it in that first episode, but as a a piece to the movie. It basically feels like this either pseudo sequel to watch. Like it takes the continuity of the movie and basically whatever the flaws the movie might has, it fixes them.
Yeah.
And so like maybe favorite like versus them each other. I feel like it's a great compare like to make the movie worth watching still. Even like
Yeah.
problems and all, you can watch watch the movie and then this and have a great complete story.
Yeah, I don't think any of them. I don't think any version is bad. The movie for me is the platonic ideal of Scott Pilgrim problematic and all. Problematic, I think, is part of what's built into it to make it work.
Mhm.
I think less problematic you make Scott, the less interesting you make him. To be honest,
I also agree, which is why I was worried. But this is more about telling Ramona's side of it, which I thought
yeah,
was what was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I caught up on Quantum Leap, not realizing I had not watched one, so I watched that episode that was the Einstein episode, and that brought back a character, which I was like, that was really clever. And they brought Madison's boyfriend into the not Madison, Addison.
Addison.
They brought Addison's boyfriend into the hologram chamber in a way that did not feel completely forced, and in a way that I thought really worked. And I'm like, God damn it, you guys are gonna make me like them, aren't you?
Yep. I was shocked again of like, you sons of bitches, you're making me like him. I hate it. Stop it.
Yeah, and it helped that they gave Ben something else. Because Ben was the guy who got really screwed in this. He's like, oh, Addison's got a new guy. Everybody's moved on. I'm stuck leaping. And then you're like, oh, well, he could actually going to get his own little like cross-time romance thing. And that was very interesting and very cool. And I think that's a neat little bit. I'm curious to see where that goes. It's a nice little tweak. And I like the stuff that's going on with the evil billionaire or whatever who's trying to hack into Quantum Leap, and that basically outsmart that person. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it's good. And the episode of the week thing with the like Operation Paperclip Nazis, another great episode of the week.
No, it was a little bit Indiana Jones-ish. I kind of dug it. Got to punch some Nazis. Set fire to a secret room in campus. That was great.
Yeah. I started my holiday watch. I watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for Thanksgiving. And I made my son watch that with me, and he laughed at it. And then I made my wife and my son watch Guardians Holiday Special with me, and he liked that too. Always enjoy that Guardians Holiday Special. That is so great. And I watched the Simpsons episode from episode season 23. That is the Future of Holidays Past. That's does a whole bunch of fun, weird future stuff and some really interesting sort of Christmas stuff. And it's just one of my favorite Simpsons traditions. So I watched all those. Watched, of course, the 3 episodes of Fargo that are out. The third one just dropped today, so I don't know if y'all got to that one or not.
We did.
Yes, yeah, watched that this morning.
Awesome. We can talk about all 3.
Oh, yeah.
3 has some. And then watched the first 4 episodes of season 2 of Julia, which I thought was excellent. I forgot how much I know I like Julia, but when season 2 came out, I wasn't like making it a priority to watch. And I watched it and I'm like, man, I forget how just wholesome and yet not saccharine this whole show is and how well it works. And also, it is the Frasier reunion I actually want because it's got Phoebe Newirth and it's got David Hyde Pierce, and they're both great in it. And so it's great. People should watch it. I think it's an underrated show that's really good. I watched Christmas Vacation, and then I watched a crime movie. I don't know if y'all have seen called The Drop.
I don't think I have.
The Drop.
So this is from 2014. It is written by Dennis Lehane. It has Tom Hardy and James Gandolfini and Noomi Rapace in it.
Shit.
Nope, have not seen this.
It is on Max right now. It's one of those things that was recommended to me by my buddy Dave, and I've been meaning to watch it forever. And I turned it on. I was looking for someone to watch, and Max had Leaving Soon, and I'm like, oh shit, I should watch this. And so I did, and it's fucking great. I don't want to say too much about it, but is a solid crime movie. The basic premise is that there are these bars in, I want to say it's New Jersey. I think it's Red Hook, New Jersey. That where the Chechen mob just drops off whatever money they made for the night at this bar. Like all their money men drop money at this bar, and then the bar owner gives the money to the Chechens in the morning.
Sure.
And you never know if you're going to be the drop bar. Like you might be. You're a drop bar,
but it rotates.
But you don't know when you're going to be the drop bar. And so Tom Hardy is the bartender. James Gandolfini's the owner. and it centers around that, but it's also like he finds a puppy in a trash can, and he like nurses it back to health, and it's about him getting this dog. It's about him being this sort of slightly weird dude. It's Tom Hardy, and it's it's really really good. I would highly recommend watching it. I was very very pleased with it. And the last thing on my list, I watched Doctor Who and the Star Beast, which I think y'all did as well.
I did. I don't know if Nick did.
Okay.
I don't think he did.
Oh, I don't watch Doctor Who.
Fair enough. I have not watched a lot of Doctor Who, but I thought Doctor Who and the Star Beast was a lot of fun.
It was everything I liked about Doctor Who. It's been years since I've watched it, but like it did all the
some sort of anniversary special or
so the way Doctor Who works every year, or rather, so they do Christmas specials. It's British, like they do annual specials. It's usually just one Christmas special or end of year special, and that's usually when they change doctors.
Yes.
Like technically, the doctors don't change like in the final episode in the first, like they change in like a special in between because BBC. And so this time they're doing I don't know quite, I think it's 60th anniversary or something, but they broke it into like 3 specials. So it's just a crazy amount of Doctor Who. And it's about to change into the kid from Sex Ed.
So it's Russell T Davies coming back to do it. He was the guy who relaunched the show, I believe. Yeah. And he did a lot of the stuff. He did all the stuff with David Tennant, who was kind of the most popular Doctor. And they had Jodie Whittaker's Doctor regenerate into David Tennant, which has never happened before. You've never had the old Doctor come back.
Oh, okay.
And so David Tennant is the Doctor for these 3 specials, and he is reuniting with his old companion Donna, who a lot of people loved.
Yeah, she's my favorite companion, who also became a doctor for a minute.
She got kind of a shit deal because she got all this power, and then he took away all her memories of the Doctor, and if she remembers him, she'll die. And so, like, we're like, how are you going to do this? And the way they did it, I thought was very clever.
Yeah, it's fun.
And
it's very
they undid what was an injustice to that character.
Yeah.
And so now they get to have David get David Tennant and Donna Noble together for another couple episodes. And I thought they did this is all based on a 1990s Marvel comic that Pat Mills and Dave Gibbons did.
Okay.
Yeah, they're credited in that. So I went and looked it up. This is a very popular comic book. And so that's what this special was based on. And I thought it was a ton of fun. It's got the same goofiness that Doctor Who always has, but it kind of wears its heart on its sleeve, and it had a trans character, and I thought really did that really well. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I did go back and watch because I didn't see any of the Whittaker Doctor. I went back and watched her last episode.
Okay.
And just to see her turn into Tennant. Not that they don't recap it pretty well, but it's still just it's been years since I'd watched Who. I was like, maybe I should watch them.
Yeah. I'm mostly watching because I like David Tennant, and I realized in watching this, I'm like, oh, much as Matt Smith was the Doctor I really liked, David Tennant probably is like the
most
pinnacle of
Doctor,
Doctors.
I think.
Yeah. And I am excited to see Ncuti Gatwa take over because I'm curious. He'll be the first African American Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he will be canonically gay, but I imagine he will be.
It's going to be great either way. I can't wait. This should be fun.
So I'm looking forward to it. And so these specials are kind of a good ramp up into it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the next one comes up on Saturday, so I'll definitely watch that. I am at best a mild Doctor Who fan. Like I've never watched the early stuff. I only started watching when Russell T Davies relaunched it, and I like but don't love it. I've watched a lot of it, but it's not like it's a thing I don't have a huge fondness for.
I think
but
that's
when
where
it's done well, it's done well.
I like it. I've seen a bunch of it. It's not my favorite show. There's always something about it that's a little too hard on sleeve.
Yeah.
But when it works, it's great. It's different than Trek, different than Wars.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I thought this worked. I thought it worked pretty well. All right, that's my TV diaries. What about y'all?
Nick, you want to go?
No, I'm going to go last because I know the musical outro I want to use.
So
and I don't want you to fuck me on this.
We watched Monarch. We watched Fargo, which we'll discuss. I've been watching through a bunch of Bob's Burgers. Being Thanksgiving, I tore through all their Thanksgiving episodes. I love how many holiday episodes they do, and I love that Bob is insane for Thanksgiving.
I saw some of the ones where they were telling stories on Thanksgiving, where it's all food based, like trying to make Gene hate food.
Yes,
it was like so they tell a story about the Predator.
Yeah. Yeah. That was great. They're just sitting in the hall trying to turn him off of food, and it doesn't work. Yeah. I'm really
Parmageddon.
There's so much Bob's Burgers. I'm still, I mean, I jumped through a bunch of Thanksgivings and now I'm back into like season 3 or so. And yeah, there's only like, I don't know, a billion seasons, like a supernatural amount of seasons to go.
It's a full supernatural.
Like a whole supernatural, one metric supernatural. So Lisa's still been watching 6 Feet Under, so I caught a little bit more of that. It's been really fun. Then thanks to Tubi, I watched I believe it was 1985 classic movie, Just One of the Guys, which has aged as well as the premise would.
I was going to say, how did that age?
As about as well as the poster. I got to look at the poster and I was like, oh no.
Yep, that's Bruce Springsteen's girlfriend, man.
Yikes.
It's just one of those 80s, like the whole premise of like, don't make that.
Les, I gotta say, you showed me a couple, like you showed me an 80s movie this week, and I gotta think like the 80s movies. So like, wow, you could just make a movie out of anything.
You just do anything.
You could just do like whatever.
The back half of the movie doesn't even have to connect to the front half. Just the same actors. You're fine.
The stakes can be anything. Like there's not really like.
Yeah, Just One of the Guys. I love in the wiki that they credit this as the start of Hollywood's trend of making Twelfth Night like Shakespeare. I'm like, is it? Is it though? Yeah, she a high school girl that doesn't get her paper submitted to a journalism scholarship thing. Decides that it would have been submitted if she was a boy, and so she goes to a rival high school.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a classic story. They made it a bunch of times. This version is very 80s.
Sure, I mean,
I grew up with it.
I feel like I prefer Soul Man, the Soul Man version of this.
I was going to say, I'm sure Soul Man ages worse.
Yes, no, I did not watch Soul Man, but I did watch, thanks to Tubi's algorithm, another C. Thomas Howell movie, Side Out, which is the greatest professional beach volleyball movie that you've not seen.
I don't know how many. That can't be a huge category.
There just can't be. They made a real bet on this and they lost. So it is C. Thomas Howell and guy from 30 something, and then Courtney Thorne Smith. C. Thomas Howell is a first-year lawyer who moves out to the beach to work for his rich sleazeball lawyer uncle, and ends up playing professional beach volleyball like you do.
Sure.
That's it. That's the stakes. It's everything I remembered. I loved Side Out when I was 10, and it's 7, and it's about the same. It came out like a year after Top Gun, and it just uses the same song from the volleyball scene, the same Kenny Loggett song. So you're like, why does this seem familiar? You're like, oh, yeah. Obviously, Side Out plays it a lot more. It's a lot of volleyball guys. Apparently, this movie also features a couple of like beach volleyball's an Olympic sport. I don't watch the Olympics, but it apparently features a bunch of pro volleyball players, like the best 3 or 4 volleyball players in the world. And one of the lead actors was like, "Yeah, I just took this gig to learn to play volleyball with those guys. It was awesome. It was everything I thought it'd be." Then showed Nick The Gate, which is an 80s horror movie about very young Stephen Dorff and his best friend who find a hole to hell in his backyard, like you do. And a bunch of claymation demons come out of it, and they're hilarious.
That I've heard of.
It's one of the latest, like, when Les showed it to me, I was like, I realized why I have heard of this and why I never made the time. No one sat down and ever made the time to, like, watch this with me except for you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I know why this didn't get big, and I see why you love it. I'm like,
There's a lot of dead dog in this.
Oh my God. There is an entire like B-plot sequence where like they go from house to house trying to figure out where to bury this dog, and they're just carrying it around. It is really weird.
It's like a stuffed dog they're carrying around that like...
Yeah. It looks like they killed the Shaggy DA and are trying to hide the body, and they're just running around with this dog. Yeah, so we watched The Gate. I also showed him the 80s classic Better Off Dead.
Now this one,
which melted Nick's brain. Like he just kept looking at me. He's like,
never seen it?
He'd never seen it.
Oh wow.
He was shocked that it's considered a classic. He was like, "Is this all the same movie? This is like
I'm shocked it's considered a movie."
He's like, "This is an underwritten Kentucky Fried movie."
Now wait, Have you never seen a Savage Steve Holland movie? Because they're
No,
all like
not.
that.
I had to
There's
explain like this is
there's
the
like
man who
three
made
of them,
Eat
and
the
they're all
Cat.
like that. Yeah.
So John Cusack hates this movie, or did for years.
Really?
He saw the screening of it while they were shooting One Crazy Summer, the next Savage Steve Holland movie.
Yeah.
And he came out of it and apparently said something along the lines of, I cannot believe that's the movie you made out of that. I will never trust you as a director again. I hate that. Like basically grudgingly finished out One Crazy Summer.
I will get this.
Man.
I am. It's so confusing at points. I can't tell if the two Asian racer guys are racist or not.
I think
Like I'm like
in the
it's
80s. So here's my opinion. In the 80s, they weren't, because that's just how it was.
like
In the 90s to aughts, it was a little bit racist, and it's come around now to being ironic and is not racist anymore.
I don't know that it's,
That's
yeah,
where I
it's like
land.
it might be empowering. I honestly can't make the
Yeah.
call.
I'm not
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
because he's speaking not with a broken accent. He's kind of, but also
Speaking
with
Howard
a
Cosell.
Howard
He learns
Cosell.
yeah.
And I'm like, I have a vague feeling this is offensive, but I can't really
Well,
articulate why.
I didn't realize that Lane doesn't really meet the French girl across the street until the exact halfway point. It is 50 minutes.
At first,
into
I was
the movie.
like, why are they cutting to this French foreign exchange student, Les? She has nothing to do with this story.
And I realized that without having seen it before, I was like, Nick, I don't have an answer for you. I know why, but it would
it would spoil something. You can't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Though gotta say, a lot of suicide jokes.
Man, right? Hey, come on, trooper. Things will get better.
The trailer has the joke where the guy's like, I can't believe somebody threw a perfectly good white boy like that.
Yeah. Yep.
The trailer.
That's in the trailer.
That movie is so wild. I love that movie, and every time I rewatch it, because my buddy Dave, who has different tastes in movies than I do, cannot stand that movie. I don't know if he didn't see it in the 80s when you're supposed to see it, or if he just didn't plug into it because it's too whatever it is. But every time I go back and watch it, like with a more critical eye, where I'm like, is he right? Is it not a good movie? I'm like, no, he is wrong. This movie's great.
I love this movie. It is also terrible. Like every time Nick would say something, I'm like, you are not wrong.
You're not wrong, but somehow it's the worst.
This week, not to get too into it, but me and Les are in kind of a production mode on a couple other new projects. Also, Henshin is almost all the way up on YouTube if you want to check it out. But we've been getting notes back about certain aspects of the script that we feel is pretty solid and structural and follows a lot of rules, and there's we get notes back like it's underdeveloped. I feel like the story should center around this white guy that is in the background. Like, well, he's not the main character, but the most frustrating message was that this with a couple of other passes on your character arcs and development and plot, this will be ready for outside eyes. And watching this movie, I was like, fuck this. There's no rules. There's nothing.
No fucking rules. Yeah.
It's like watching a bouncer keep you out because they think you might be trouble, while watching everyone in the bar get so sick that they stand up, do a keg stand on the bar and start breaking shit. Like,
I will say, I believe Savage Steve Holland made exactly 2 movies.
Yes,
and was never what's called a huge success.
That's about it.
And Eat the Cat.
No, he vanished.
Yeah,
he made one other movie, Ratso.
Oh shit! Okay, all right.
Les, why are the 2 burgers singing to each other in this?
That is a long claymation sequence with a Van Halen
no
song.
reason. For no reason.
How expensive was that? There's a Van Halen needle drop in it.
Yes. Yep. And you know what? That's where I first heard that song. So I have it. It is associated forever with that singing hamburger.
He showed me Slacks, which, unlike all of those, Slacks is unequivocally fucking awesome. That movie's hilarious. Every single time the pants move on their own and attack anybody, it is funny.
The back pockets are eyes.
Oh my god! It smiles and blinks
puppetry on the
at one
pants
point,
is great.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They show some of the green, like the green suit with the pants on them, like people working the pants during the credits, and it's great. Yeah, I enjoyed the shit out of Slacks. What's going on? The explanation is insane, but yeah, really fun movie. That's over on Shudder. Of course, watch Doctor Who. Fanny and I have been rewatching through Billions. We have neither of us have seen the final season, so we've been rewatching up and are almost to the final season. So I'm still watching Billions I've seen before, but we're almost like almost to
Almost
the new
there.
season.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because of Thanksgiving episodes, watch the Goldbergs Thanksgiving specials because there's a bunch of those. Nick and I went and saw Thanksgiving in the theater, which we'll talk about on Patreon. And then Nick had gotten me to watch a bunch of Dairy Girls at various times, but we watched a couple of more together. And then I ended up finishing out Dairy Girls,
you
which
finished
ends
it?
on like a which ends on like a double episode finale.
Yes,
that manages to
it really works, doesn't it?
like both deal with they have like one of the girls' parents have a medical like issue, and they deal with all of that really beautifully. And then they also deal with the signing of the peace accord in 97, I believe, is the day that it falls on.
The
Between
show
with Ireland. Yeah,
the show
and
basically
it's
follows
really well
and
done.
ends with like the Troubles. Like that's the
Like they actually and like handle it better than you would think a sitcom would, while also staying really goofy and funny and kind of taking all these kids to a natural what are you going to do now after high school kind of state. It really worked. Kind of reminded me of, I don't know, Dancer Texas or something, like really heartfelt high school kind of
ends
stuff.
on that fucking Cranberry song.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it has to. Also, a lot of Fatboy Slim in there.
Oh,
the entire Fatboy Slim thing is fucking hilarious.
I love that they are so excited for Fatboy Slim to come because like no one comes and
right. It's the 90s and Fatboy Slim is going to come to Derry, and like the whole town loses their minds.
Loses their
the biggest thing that's
goddamn
ever...
minds. Oh well, we watched the Clinton episode together when Clinton comes to visit.
Yes,
and they are just straight insane. Like the girls have sent a letter to Chelsea Clinton, so they think that Chelsea's going to meet them there.
With no response back, they're just it's a sitcom. They're just
they sent a letter,
delusional.
But they sent a letter,
and they're sure that she's going to come hang out with them. Like, we heard that your parents are coming to Derry. If they're anything like our parents, you're going to be bored shitless. Come hang out with us. You seem cool. We like your hair.
The dad is trying to track the CIA so they can find the president.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, or no, the grandpa, I should say.
Yeah. The whole show is it's just beautifully done. Goofy ass sitcom. You definitely have to have the subtitles on for the Irish of it, but
same with Letterkenny.
They're really well handled. Also, the stinger at the very end, they actually show Chelsea Clinton get the letter, and that's hilarious. And I think that's about it for what I watched.
All right.
I also watched all that shit. I watched some MS3K because they had their Kickstarter or whatever the fuck it had started, which actually ended up
Showmaker, I think is the site they used.
Disaster, apparently.
It failed.
Well, they asked for $4 million or something, and they only got
something crazy. They got like 2.5.
Too much for a fucking. Like, I realized that it costs money to license, like just to buy the straight license for some of these movies, but like you were saying that they were like some of that added cost on was to go to touch up back episodes.
Yeah, they had some stuff in there that should have been stretch goals, and just I don't know, it didn't seem as well run as it could have been. Also, they launched it during the strike, so I think a lot of there just wasn't push behind it.
Mm-hmm. And they were like, we want to get a live set again, and like I get all that, but honestly, what I think the Gizmoplex season, I think it was season 13, I think maybe 12, I don't know, depends on how you count the Netflix seasons, but the difference between the Netflix one and the Gizmoplex one is the writing, really, and the writing slows down, and I feel like any bells and whistles or whatever that you're gonna be buying or whatever there, I don't think is gonna change that. If that's but maybe that's not really their goal. Maybe I feel like there's a distinct amount of MS3K fans that like the pacing of the old MS3K, of where they go a long time without commenting on the movie, and then we'll make a joke, and then. I like the going, just keep going, and having a bunch of stuff that might hit or might not. But like, there's a reason that you're making fun of these movies. Don't feel reverence to actually let the movie play. You know what I mean? And then I was interesting. I found on YouTube where you could just someone had recorded their Toonami broadcasts, and just you could watch them as live as they had in the 90s apparently. And I thought it was a great flashback towards the past because I got to watch not only a couple older Toonami shows, but the commercials in between, and I forgot what commercials were like. Like, you think you know what, like, when, like, "Oh, I know what a commercial is," because, you see what an ad is on your YouTube or Hulu or whatever in between. No, that's not what commercials were. Commercials are different. Like, it actually took an hour to watch, like, 2 episodes of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Nick was like, man, there really is 10 minutes of commercials have like snuck in every 5-10 seconds, like anywhere they can sneak an extra one in. Yeah. It's not just the same Discover card ad 6 times in a row.
also, like, what the commercials were directly like, I was wondering, me and Les got into a discussion of how commercials must have worked, or still work. It's not like cable's done, but I was like, oh shit, Cartoon Network has an ad for a Nickelodeon show or just Nickelodeon movie or whatever. I'm like, that's direct competition. Like, though that's owned by Paramount. That's owned by a completely different company. That, like, why buy ad space? Well, like, oh, well, they're probably buying it from the cable company, and that's probably up for grabs, the ad space. So that just goes to whoever the highest bidder is. So that might be like reverse trolling on, like, oh, well, we'll pay for advertising on our competitor's channel. Not like, John Oliver could pay to put ads on Fox. Like, I guess it just goes to whoever.
Almost certain they have.
Also, to see different, like, I watched an episode of Dragon Ball Z, which was the one of the first dubs, original dubs with a completely different cast and a completely different script. Like, they just write different things, and like, it's interesting to go back and realize, like, in anime specifically, there was just old dubs of things that were done with a different script or even without a script, just to get content out there, and have been replaced now and can't be found almost anywhere. Uh, so that was interesting. Watched Tenchi Universe, which was a harem anime that I forgot about and was never really a huge fan of. But at least it was.
Ask what a harem anime is, do I?
I know what it is, and I wish I didn't.
No, it's just basically there's a male lead, and he meets a bunch of different female characters throughout the thing, and they all vie for his attention, and are like decide that they're gonna be his girlfriend. Da, da, da. That's not really, like, it's not really my bag, but I was like, but
like How I Met Your Mother.
this one has this one. No, they all stick around at the same time. None of them leave. That's the difference. Is that it'd be one thing if he just dated different people. And no, somehow
Oops,
always
all
kinda
Robins.
just stick around.
It's like if you ran every episode of How I Met Your Mother together.
Yes.
In one 30-minute block.
This is what AI How I Met Your Mother's going to be like.
But I was like, well, at least this one has a space war thing going on, and there's like one of the harems is like a space princess and her bodyguard, or like there's space travel and laser fights and spaceships. Except this episode was the swimsuit competition that they have in the middle for no reason. I was like, God damn it. But the what else and after that I watched, so you have to know that, like, I keep forgetting. The longest time I just thought Harvey Birdman and Space Ghost Coast to Coast and those type of shows were whole cloth original, that they weren't drawing from anything.
No.
So I watched an episode of Space Ghost. Not
man,
not
I grew
Space
up on
Ghost
real
Coast
Space
to
Ghost.
Coast.
No, I went to college with Coast to Coast. I grew up on real Space Ghost.
Yeah,
that monkey.
And I was like, holy shit, it's kind of like watching a parody of something and realizing that, holy shit, the parody version of it is a real thing. Like, you had no idea. And yeah, that old Funimation style, where
that's Hanna-Barbera. Yeah.
Yeah, they no matter what problem, they will solve it by standing in a room and nodding their heads slightly. And then
all the backgrounds loop.
It's just a very odd sense, but yeah, I think I might actually throw. It was a very weird experiment, but I think I'm gonna throw on some more Toonami and be that and bring that back next week because I did have a lot of fun watching. I was like the Toonami intros and outros, how they introduce episodes and shows and stuff are actually pretty cool. Uh, Tom and uh how they basically they hype up the show and make it look way better like than what you're about to watch, really.
And I'm gonna find an hour of USA Cartoon Express and melt your brain. Turbo Teen, man.
Man, I would I would actually like to see. For me, I'll check out kids like maybe there's a broadcast of Kids WB. That was usually my Saturday morning. Although Toonami had a Saturday morning, it was actually called Rising Sun, which I thought was clever. But yeah, that's my TV Diaries.
Listen up. Here's your wake-up call.
Come and get it.
3 hours of Toonami programming.
Consider ourselves fortunate.
And it's not even a school day. Toonami, The Rising Sun, Saturday from 9 to noon.
You just made my day.
A day which will live in infamy.
Now the victory's mine!
All right, just a reminder, you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get to keep all our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're talking about Thanksgiving, not the holiday, the movie. And not all of us, just Les and Nick. But if you want to hear them talk about Thanksgiving, you want to go to our Patreon for that. All right, let's have our main course. Let's talk about Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which we talked a little bit about at the top. But I think there's probably a lot to be said about this. I spoiled at the top. I think we all really liked this.
Absolutely. I think we all really dug this. Sorry, John Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wrong. He's just and I actually get where John Paul's coming from. That's our fan John Paul who posted these like people want to see the monsters, not the people. And I'm like, you know what? In the movies, that is true. There's too many people in the movies for the
most
part.
And that was entirely my fear. Like you can tell, it's just where that line falls for you. Like that was my fear about the show too. But clearly, it tipped on the scale. I saw enough monsters, the bamboo spider, and all of that to keep.
And also, they were never going to do. I mean, this is Apple, and it does not look cheap. But they were never going to be able to do. They're not going to do 30 minutes of Godzilla.
Yeah,
even the animated series didn't. Yeah, even the animated series held off showing me Kong till the end. Like, I think that's just. It comes down to what out of these various tone movies, which one did you click with? And I feel like I won the lottery on them going my direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what I think really works is the fact that that sounds like an easy solution to make the thing about the monsters and not the people.
Yeah.
And in the Gareth Edwards of it all, like, yeah, why do we only see Godzilla in the last 30 minutes?
Yep.
But honestly, what's the problem with those movies is that, oh, right, I don't actually care about any of these characters or what they're doing. In Kong, in Skull Island, the animated series, I actually give a shit. There's a lot of cool, neat characters in there, including a wild girl or whatever. And then this show, I am immediately hooked in by the story, these parallel stories going on. The one in the not modern day, it's before it's after the first
it's 2015 after Godzilla's attacked San Francisco.
Right, so this is before King of the Monsters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And before Kong versus Godzilla.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's basically dealing with one of the characters just having, PTSD. I didn't realize this, but opening on Japan and how Japan is dealing with it is like just monster and it's so funny because Japan was in the series, they're canonically the ones that are were looking for Godzilla earlier. That's what Ken Watanabe's character was saying, but the general populace thinks it's a hoax.
Oh man, that bit
that's
where
hilarious.
He's driving along, and the guy is like, he's telling her, he's like, yeah, it's all a scam, and she's flashes back. We know that she fucking saw Godzilla,
right?
And he's like, it's all a scam. Yeah, I've got a podcast. I was like, oh god damn it, that's so good.
Yeah, I also love the hurricane evacuation stuff.
Yeah, the evacuation stuff is great.
Oh yeah, the fact that they have pictures of the Godzilla with the thing crossed out and pointing. I'm like, oh shit, I don't speak the language, and I know what that's pointing to. That's pointing to a Godzilla shelter. Cool. Like,
Yep. What I thought was really cool about all this is that it shows you what living in a world of kaiju would be like, but it's also like the characters. This show lives or dies on whether or not I find the characters interesting, and every one of these characters is interesting. Even somehow white bread Japanese guy, I find interesting because
yes.
mostly he's just a dick throughout the entire first couple episodes.
Well, he's a dick, but
He's had a bad day. I get it.
What what sells me on him is the fact that the dad is so next level shitty as far
Oh
as
yeah, yeah.
he has two
Yeah.
families and ignores them both.
And sucks at
of
both.
them, yes,
Like-
yes, yeah.
Yeah,
And this kid
the only
somehow
character
still
that's on
worships him.
the only character that's on a tipping point for me is the hacker X that they have so far kind of they're not dragging her through the plot. She's interested for her, for her own reasons because it's interesting shit. But
Yeah.
She's gonna
she
bitch about it
seems
the
like
entire time.
every time they cut over to her, she just looks like angry to be there. And I'm like, give her something else to do pretty quick. But
I mean, I
but I do feel
find
like they're
that
moving
amusing,
forward.
but I find that amusing, but you're right. It could get old fast. Right now, I'm deeply amused by this character who's like, she's like, I'm the one who has any fucking skills. What am I doing here?
Right.
You two
Like,
just keep
you
wanting
guys-
to be.
You're both here because your dad was shitty. I'm here because I know how to hack into things.
Well, they're
Like,
they do a good version of the. I mean, I realize they're like 20 or 23, but they treat them like kids. And these are young people that are, hey, why the fuck should we listen to you, Kurt Russell? Like we're the ones that have the stake in this. And Kurt Russell is pretty magnanimous about it, and he's like, okay, cool. I mean, I'm the one that knows where we're going, knows the people where we need to see, and knows how to get there. But I'll tell you what, once we get to Korea, it'll be your call.
And I was so on board when he just roped them into breaking him out.
That Kurt Russell scene is so good. I mean, Kurt Russell's such a badass. You can really, there's a little bit of shortcutting they can do, which is great. But then he just cuts his ankle monitor off. He's like, "Look, you got 60 seconds to decide." That was great, and their escape is great too. When he gets, he's like, "I can drive anything," and they're like, he's like, "Why do you start it?" They're like, "There's a button." He's like, "Button?" They're like, "Are you kidding me?" I love that. They're like, he is an old man who has not been in a car in like 30 years, and yet once he's in the car, he is exactly as good as he thinks he is.
Well, I like he says like I was under house arrest. I wasn't in like solitary. Like I know what Google is.
I know what Google is.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a weird Doom Patrol energy to it, like in the fact that like Monarch has gone through these phases where they've been a complete joke, like an unfunded 3 weirdos walking around an island they shouldn't be on, to the government taking them seriously, to that fading back out, and then like to whatever the hell they are now, which
They're like
is
sinister now.
And I kind of like there being a mission split between the people that are curious about this stuff and the people that are like, look, the only mandate is preventing another attack.
What's great about it is that in the and we haven't talked about the prequel timeline yet of the 50s. But what's great about they show that there has since Monarch's inception, there has always been 2 camps in Monarch. One is the nerdy scientists that want to study giant animals and stuff and not kill any of them. And the other ones are the soldier type and the soldiers and the realist type people that want to like, oh, there's giant monsters. Oh yeah, we should definitely learn how to kill those.
Yeah. I also think casting Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell worked out as well as you can imagine.
Absolutely, as well as that hype. Yeah, perfect.
Wyatt Russell is perfect as young, cocky version of the character.
And if you told me that Workaholics, that Anders would be a good young John Goodman, I don't know that I would have believed you. But I'm digging him.
What great casting and what a great use of that character.
Yeah.
Also, I love this happens in the first episode, but is it Kay that's the character's grandmother who they set her up and they're jumping between 1952 and 1959 and 2015. Like they're jumping around in time, and I think they do it pretty well. But there's a bit in the first episode where she seems to get killed, and I'm not sure she may or may not be dead. Like
I don't think she's
I mean, she could be though. Like the picture of her in the footprint could be any time from 1952 to 1959.
Well, yeah, because she all she has to do is have a kid, and
or have had.
We don't know, and we don't know what. That's enough of a time period for that to happen. And like,
But I
so there's
don't think she's gone. Yeah, she gets covered in like creepy ass. Oh my god. Like covered in mudos.
And the thing is, like, I don't know, and I love that they can play with it. Like, that's one of those prequel problems of like, oh, we know these people are going to survive. I'm like, no, we actually don't. Like, she could have served her plot purpose at this point, and everything could go forward without her. And I don't know, and I'm fascinated by that. I also thought when they do bring in the monsters, they do them well. The bat thing in the middle of the ship that's in the middle of the jungle was a really great set piece.
And also just Wyatt Russell's like, shit, they are dragons.
Yeah, they're dragons. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the whole pitch of it is like how do these things hide? And of course, at that point, they don't know about the Hollow Earth thing.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't know about Skull Island. So like and I like that they see Godzilla and it makes them take them seriously for funding, and I'm like, okay, cool. And this is enough of a time period because that means if they find nothing for I want to say 20 years, because the next one is setting in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So they have to have almost 2 decades of not finding anything for Monarch to be considered a joke again.
Right.
Yeah.
Them making I loved it. I love anytime you can rope historical stuff in and like, ooh, that's what really happened there. Haha.
Yeah.
Making the Bikini Atoll test. Like trying to put a bomb in Godzilla's face. That was fucking great.
It was great. I like all three of the characters in the past. I'm interested in seeing how the relationship between K and WR, isn't that his name? How that develops. Yeah. I really love all the modern day stuff. I'm with that. Once Kurt Russell joined them, I was just even more on board.
Yeah, now we're off to the races.
And then they did that monster sequence, destroying their plane, and I was like, and the other thing is like the character they introduced there, who was like the sort of their fixer, or the guy who helped get him out of North Korea. I love that character, and then they killed him off, and I'm like, fuck, man, they're not fucking around in this show. They will kill characters.
He was the one that realized what happened to the plane. Like the plane didn't crash.
That was
like,
beautiful. That's what I was about to say.
He saw the anchor, and it's like the plane was landed before it got destroyed. Now, like,
him putting that together and realizing, shit, they didn't crash, they landed. Wait, that was beautiful.
Yeah. Also, by the way, speaking of not fucking around, they killed a busload of kids.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, fuck those kids.
It's like, of course, that's why Nick likes the show.
It serves because she was a teacher.
Yeah.
And we saw the bus get away in the Godzilla movie that was carrying our main character's kid at the time. So that was the only one that mattered at the time.
Yep.
And I was like, there were other buses on the bridge.
I was like, they were like, no, fuck them kids. They
fuck
died.
those kids.
It's like, Jesus, that's dark, man.
Oh man,
it is, and it's and we still want to treat like Godzilla like, and in the later movies, and honestly, this is what the show is doing, a Herculean effort to mesh the tones and stories of all the movies, because even the movies can't quite keep consistent on is Godzilla a threat? Is Godzilla our hero? Is the Monarch team supposed to be are they a shady government organization not to be trusted? Even the movies can't quite decide what this universe is.
And Monarch picked all that inconsistency in and built it into the show.
Built it in, which I thought was I really thought was brilliant. I'm like, oh, that's why it feels inconsistent. Like they take the inconsistency and make it a part of the driving narrative.
Yeah. Well, I think the highest compliment I can pay to the show is that it makes me want to go back and rewatch those movies, which I only like Skull Island. All of them, that's the only one I like.
And the other ones I'll skip around to the monster fights.
Right.
So, do y'all know the creative team on this? It's like
it's Matt Fraction, right?
It's Matt Fraction. It's Chris Black from Severance and Star Trek Enterprise and Mad Men. And Matt Shackman directs a couple of the episodes. Matt Shackman directed a bunch of Loki.
Okay.
There's a really good, and Mariko Tamaki, who's another comics person.
That's a hell of a pedigree.
There's a pretty good pedigree here, and Mariko Tamaki also worked on Goosebumps, by the way.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got a solid pedigree. I'm really digging this. It is definitely that thing I'm looking forward to every week. And I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah. No, I'm It drops Thursdays,
Is
right?
it Thursdays or Fridays? I thought it was Fridays.
I think it might be Friday.
Maybe I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like because everything else dropped fucking Thursdays, but
Yeah. But yeah, it's on my weekly watch, and I'm excited to see another episode.
I know how it is. Your day off, want to sleep it away.
Just how many hours a day does she need to sleep, really?
Well, Toonami's changing all that. 3 hours of best action cartoons around.
Surrender this!
Feel my wrath!
Double, come on!
All you gotta do is get up.
Mahoshi, please wake up!
Toonami, the rising sun. Saturday mornings at 10.
Show me what you got!
Only Toonami.
Let's jump over our side dish. Let's talk about Fargo season 5.
Now this does drop Wednesdays.
This drops on Wednesdays. I've watched I think every season of Fargo. I love season 1 and 2, and then I think 3 and 4 were not as good, but still good.
that Chris Rock season was where I stopped too. It was like,
Yeah.
I think so. I never really watched Fargo. I'd always heard it was great. I think the one that I gave an effort of like I'll jump into that show was the year that we were talking about the Chris Rock season, and I watched the first 2 of those and was like,
And it's the weakest.
oh,
part-
I'm not
the
going to
weakest part
shit
of
on
the
it, but I'm just
show.
going to stop watching this.
Yeah,
And,
it is the weakest. It is the weakest thing. Yeah.
And I don't know if this is, I haven't seen the rest of them. I don't know if this is the strongest season, but I really can't imagine them doing this better. Holy crap.
2 episodes in, this is as good as season 1, which is again about the highest compliment I can pay.
3 now. Is it 3 episodes now?
3 episodes in.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mentioned in my TV I didn't mention in my TV diaries that I also went back and watched season 1 of Fargo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Season 5 is the best season of Fargo so far.
Interesting. Okay, because I remember loving that first season.
I do too, and I remembered a lot of the good parts, but then I remember like watching it through, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of this that is actually kind of slow and doesn't really pay off. Like,
Okay.
Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele are cute, but
Yeah.
like their thing doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And like there's a lot of things that are like, oh, but as far as the concept of Minnesota nice,
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised this is not what the main focus of this show has been the entire time.
Them putting that definition up and then opening on the slow motion fist fight at a PTA was
Setting it post-Trump really changes things. And also, the thing I've always loved about the Fargo show is it's not just Fargo. It is a love letter to all the Coen Brothers stuff because their bad guy in this, their mysterious guy in the leather bag head,
Mhm.
that is absolutely an Anton Chigurh type.
Oh yeah, very much so. Getting very
Oodly
And
munch.
I thought, and I think Juno Temple is fucking killing it here.
Oh man, not only her Minnesota accent, but then when she
Yeah.
drops it
Mhm.
and
So the
she has a
Minnesota accent
flat
is-
American.
everyone on the shows, you know, they're actors. Almost none of them have natural Minnesotan accents. Everyone is
Yes,
doing
yeah.
on all this in all the seasons. Everyone's doing a put on like. There's at one point where Billy Bob Thornton in the first season puts on a Minnesotan accent to basically make fun of them, and it's indistinguishable from what everyone else is doing. Like you can't do it ironically. But what's great about hers is that when you get to play it too, because she gets to drop it for a scene, and the power of that scene of like when she goes from, oh well, I got a little into a kerfuffle in the PTA meeting.
Yep.
Just these days nowadays, and then she drops it when talking to mom and like, listen here, bitch. I was like, oh my god,
Yeah. Oh man, that scene was so good.
that scene ruled. Like,
Also, Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think I'm the only one of
What?
us who watched Atypical, where she was the mom.
I watched some of that. Yeah, she is a lot in
what
that. She's
are you
intense.
talking about?
She has perfected the act of playing just a total bitch. She's great at it.
Oh man, when she in the 3rd episode here, when she tells the cops off, was just cold.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
her as the matriarch of like rich matriarch of this family, and her son who is just absolutely listens to whatever strong woman is nearest, and then
I
Dave
wonder
Foley
why.
as
He was raised.
Oh man,
as what
Dave
Danish Graves is his name, the family
Yes,
lawyer with
yes.
an eye patch.
Dave
Family
Foley is
only.
the suck-up lawyer.
We haven't even seen him do much yet, and I love him. Like,
Yeah.
like, well, I'm sorry, he's got that eye patch, and his name is Danish Graves.
Right.
Yep.
A+, love it.
He's at the same law firm as Mark Hamill in House of
the
Usher.
Pim
Yes,
Reaper
yeah,
in House of
yeah.
Usher? Sure, yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Pim and Graves.
um, but that whole first episode and the kidnapping sequence and
Oh man,
seeing that she is so much more capable.
all of her shit
you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, all her plans are somewhere between genius and like the dumbest thing you can think to do.
Yeah,
like when she switches street signs, and like it doesn't stop them.
I was like,
it just fucks them up a little.
I also was like, is no one going to notice that tomorrow? No one's going to notice like all the street signs.
All of it feels like short-term solutions.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like she is genuinely great and fantastic improving and but long term I'm like, what? I just want to like sit down with her character and it's pointless because I know she'd lie straight to my face.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask
leaving.
What is your end goal here?
Yeah, she knows immediately in the opening sequence. She asks them if the fingerprints go into a database. She knows exactly what's about to happen.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But she doesn't prep for it. She isn't prepped for people to come to her. And then when she does escape from her kidnappers in a harrowing sequence in which 2 people die, and one of them basically by her hand, she doesn't do anything but go home and pretend nothing happened. Like, what is your plan?
I was watching it with Les, and when she dips out from the gas station, I was like, well, that only makes sense if you're not gonna file a police report.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense. You obviously have been part of a crime.
Unprepared for her to look her husband straight in the face.
And I was like, I knew it was coming because it's the only option to do that if you're gonna leave. And I'm like, I guess the only option is to try and lie and say something that it didn't happen. But that's an insane thing to do. No one would believe you.
Yep.
Is it a crime to leave my house a mess with 2 different types of blood, neither of my type, on the floor?
So,
I mean, is that a crime?
I don't know David Rystall. I don't know what I've seen him in. I guess he's in Oppenheimer, but he is playing the perfect milquetoast husband of like, oh yeah, he just buys whatever his wife tells him and whatever his mom tells him. Like he does whatever he is told.
Well, it takes some convincing, which is what I like. He's like hun, that
makes no sense.
Yeah.
There was your feet are all cut up with glass and
Oh, are they?
Is it episode 2 where John Hamm makes his entrance?
Yes.
Yeah.
John Hamm is so good playing this scumbag who just like he's like, no, I don't believe in the law. I believe in the Constitution and freedom. I'm like, oh fuck, man, I know there are sheriffs like this.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's hundreds of these guys.
I mean, they're absolutely making a stab at Maricopa County. That crazy fuck.
Yeah.
What's interesting about him is that he is on the wrong side of a kind of a philosophy I almost agree with, as far as the letter of the law. You can't let that get in the way of true justice. And I know I've said that before, of like, but normally I'm talking about systemic racism and mandatory minimums and things that have fucked over the lower class, and like letting the letter of the law fuck over people because of protecting the system. And he's talking about no, the letter of the law is really fucking us over about fucking other people over.
Yeah, he's like really, as long as he's like, nobody's protecting the white men. That's like where he's at.
Yeah, the way that he takes care of the meth head that has clearly whooped the shit out of that woman.
Yeah.
And they nearly kill that guy, which I mean, I'm glad they're meeting out. But
which is he's still sure a point in his column, but during it, he's talking to the wife and like, you should.
You take this money, you go home and fix him a good dinner.
You should give him head.
You should give him some head for a few days to help him feel like a man. And
it's
and you only beat her when it's for instruction purposes.
What I love about all of that is that he is, as with all these guys, so full of shit. Because when they show him in his hot tub, he has those distracting nipple piercings, and I'm like, oh, this guy's a freak. And then we see him with his wife, and I'm like, oh, this guy's a freak.
Yeah, this guy's real weird.
Yeah, he's smoking a J, and
Yep. I'm like, this guy is not living the principles he claims to embody. And I find him a fascinating, horrible character.
He's and John Hamm's so good at it. But then you got Gator.
Holy shit, Steve's back. I didn't recognize him.
Back.
That hat was hiding the hair gel. A crime.
Yep.
A crime.
Man, if if Gator weren't such a piece of shit, I'd feel bad for him.
No,
he was raised
when he's in his bedroom going,
John,
"I'm a winner, I'm a winner,
I'm a winner." he was raised by his dad, who wants him to be this, but who he was never going to be good enough for.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just, and he wants to be
Randy,
such a badass.
How can he teach him to be a winner when he loses so goddamn much?
Man, the bit where he thinks he's got the drop on
oh man,
yeah,
Ole Munch, and he's like, surprise shitbird, and then immediately goes south on him.
Yeah,
like, you had a gun right to this guy's head, he had a cigarette, and you lost.
Yep.
Yeah. Because Ule is not. Like, I love that they showed us that it's not that they hired well, one of the hitmen was pretty incompetent. The other guy,
the guy they hired,
and they didn't hire
the other
Ule.
guy's not.
They actually found the other guy. The other guy found Ule. It turns out.
Yeah. And Ule is talking about like how they fucked him over. Like, whoa, you did not tell me that what this. It's a different tier. It's a different level. When you need I love that he also said like what you had two guys, like you got two guys, like if I'd have known it was a tiger, I would have gone a different guy.
Different guy. Yeah, if I'd known it was a tiger, not a housewife. Yeah, it's such a great little speech. Also, episode 3 gets real fucking weird with Ule.
Right. So Nick has a more normalizing theory than I did about Ule.
I was like 500 years earlier. What the fuck are we doing?
5,000. Is it 500?
No, it's 500.
No, it's 500. It's 500. Okay. It's just but it is a casual flashback.
And they jump, and he's a sin eater. Yeah.
Yep, he's a sin eater.
Which I've had the moment of like, all you got to do is just bring a starving fuck in there. If this spell really like you could tell he's just sitting there of like, I don't care. Just tell me when the point in the Latin that I get to eat the bread, dude.
Yeah. So what is your theory, Nick? Because my theory is he's a descendant. Obviously, it's not. They're not doing immortality.
That's Nick's theory.
That's weird. I love that Les is full on ready to believe he's a sin eater.
I immediately was like, no, he just moved into that woman's house and he ate a bunch of Bible pages and. I don't know why, but I haven't watched a lot of Fargo, but y'all fucked up.
I don't blame you, Les. They don't really give any indication that that's not the case.
Nope. Yeah. that would be too weird even for Noah Hawley. If this was Legion,
and his when he covers himself in goat blood, that's in modern times, and there seem to be floating sigils that float around.
There are some hints. He calls the woman he's staying with Ma. So I think that is his mom.
I think he's just insane. I think he just. I think he just misses his mom from 500 years ago.
I think that's his descendant. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be a twist later. We're gonna find that was his descendant,
I'm
and that
pretty
he's
sure too.
not.
I don't think he's immortal. By the way, also 2 smaller parts, both in the law enforcement. Lamorne Morris.
Yes,
I really like. I think he's playing it straight here, which is great. And Risha Morjani, who I loved on God, what was Desi? What was the show? It's on Netflix, and it is Never Be My. What was it called?
Always Be My Maybe.
Nope. It's the show that was on. It was
Never Have I Ever.
Never Have I Ever.
Yeah.
She's the doctor. She's the doctor cousin from Never Have I Ever, and she's great here.
She's honestly too attractive to be a Minnesotan police officer.
Especially married to that piece of shit would-be golfer.
Oh my god! I'm like when they showed the golfer, I was like,
oh, they haven't shown him in a minute.
I'm already having a hard time suspending my disbelief that this accent and this uniform are on the same woman. Like,
yep.
Like this is like it's ridiculous. And then to see her pro golf hopeful, not a pro, like because he's just trying to qualify. Yeah. And I'm like, what the no? This is. I willingly believe the 500 Les's theory of the 500-year-old sin eater more than this.
Yeah, man. I love Fargo, and it's been a minute since I've loved it this much. And I think this is. I mean, it's got the car dealership and an attempted kidnapping there, and they're nodding to Fargo, but they're telling an original story, and that's what I think this show does really, really well.
Yeah.
I just love this show, and episode 3, and it's 500 years before. I was like, oh fuck, you guys are so weird. I love this.
The one thing I wish they would stop doing, and I get that it's a gag, is that they keep showing the this is a real story.
They're never going to do that because that's built into the Fargo movie. That's part of it.
Right, which is part of the Fargo movie, which they even Coen Brothers even admit in the Fargo movie, like that's not part of it.
I mean, that's why it works as a gag though. It's on every episode. They're like, no, it's not.
But I'd never watched. I mean, I haven't watched the Fargo movie in decades, and I've never watched the show. So I tried to look up what case this was. Like, I don't think anybody knows they're joking.
I honestly think though that people are just don't get the subtlety and don't like. People are gonna think this is a real true story, and I don't know who that hurts, but I think the viewers maybe. I don't know. It does bother me a little bit of like that you can just straight up lie about that.
Yeah, I get that. I understand, especially in post-Trump America.
I think that's what bothers me. Post 2016.
Yeah, but I just find it funny.
I know,
and I feel like if you're watching this show, you're probably at least a little bit smart. Like who's watching this? If you're that stupid, who's going to watch more? I think most people watch this who are too dumb to understand it would be like, that show's boring. I don't think anyone would stick with it. But I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this season I think has done a great job of not being boring. As far as
nope, it's not boring.
The central premise of her keeping up the lie of nothing happened is actually so good that that carrying that forward is what really is holding the show together, in my opinion. Her psychotic insistence on that nothing happened, but also we should definitely improve our security. Like
when they go to the gun store and she knows everything about guns, and her husband just doesn't seem to.
Like, honey, that's $5,000 worth of shit.
Except for the fact, like she knows everything about guns except for that there's a waiting period, which makes me think.
Because in her husband's county, there was no waiting period.
Yeah.
Or she's just or she's used to just buying them out of trunks or from door sale. Yeah.
I guarantee you that Sheriff Roy Tillman did not enforce any kind of waiting period.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If you need to, just explain to Roy
they're going to flash back to her life with Roy, but I'm like, man, I feel like you were more like you weren't just a housewife. I feel like you were involved in this. You have you have a particular skill set.
She's too skilled. She knows too much. I agree.
This information just doesn't come to people like you.
Yeah. We're gonna find out that she was in some bad shit. Yeah,
but also,
I think you're right.
What's great is that the show also shows us in the opening episode she has a chance to kill Ule and doesn't. She kills the other guy, but because he falls on the thing, she just makes him slip up. But in cold-blooded murder, she hesitates.
Yeah. She doesn't, which is going to come back to bite her, by the way.
Which I thought was a good idea, because it shows us a lot about this character of, we don't know a lot about her, but we do know she's skilled and competent.
She's not a cold-blooded killer. Yeah.
But she's not a killer. She doesn't feel like she's outright, maybe she's killed someone before, but in the heat of the moment or self-defense, not outright murder.
Well, she's she's trying to protect what's hers. She's got a kid now, and they backed her into a corner. She will bite. Yeah. Like, she will kill you.
Yeah.
And she's not leaving.
This like she's not going.
I didn't fuck up the prenup.
House.
No,
that's not on the table. Like that.
Nope.
I love like Jennifer Jason Leigh presenting her with the choice of like, look, honey, either you're insane or you're lying through your teeth, and she's like, well, insane doesn't break the prenup, so.
Right.
I was like, she basically just like, okay.
If I am lying, maybe I'm not the type of person you want to fuck with.
Right.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Oh man, that was so good. It's so good. Yeah, we're at the end of the year. We were thinking we might be done with desserts, but I think both Monarch and Fargo are dessert worthy.
I heavily agree.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that does it for us this week. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Les.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, dudes.
And thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Reminder, you can go to tvdudes.com or patreon.com/tvdudes. Give us a fucking episode and listen to us talk about Thanksgiving this week and a bunch of other stuff in previous weeks. And until next time,
TV Dudes out.
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out,
go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.